Okay, so it's back again for our next installment for the book of Romans. We were in the 11th chapter, I believe, and moving right along. But we are doing this little stall in for just a few times together that we can take a look at um, this question that's burning for us today in the current political military problems that we're having about all of this in the news from different avenues, not the least of which, probably the most evident ardent, is from what we've come to know as Christian nationalists. Uh, and this is based on dispensationalism, is the whole theological stand behind this Christian nationalism. So we can go into a little bit about how that uh, came into being, and I was going to do that next time. The creation of I think I did a little bit last time. I just remind you just a little bit. Dispensationalism did not exist until the 1800s. All of the 1800 years of Christian theology, with the epic people of our theological perspective of the Christian church, nobody came up with that. Dispensationalism does something completely different, and what it does is it pushes uh, uh, the Jews back into the forefront and makes them a hinge pin for the fulfillment of salvation history. So now let's say it again. This did not exist till I think it was 1873. Okay. So before that, no church thinker thought that the Jews were a hinge pin that would lead to salvation. Not there. Okay. So this is what's been called dispensationalism, and it's been propagated then. It has if you think about it, if I was uh, of of the Jewish persuasion, I would be all in for dispensationalism, especially for Christians, right? Because if I can convince all the Christians to follow dispensationalistic theology, then you're going to be supporting me, hands down. Absolutely. You'll sell your mother to support me because you're a faithful person, and this is what's going to bring about salvation, right? So there's a lot of pressure behind dispensationalism that has propelled it forward. There's a lot of people that are good Christian people of good faith and good hopes and good intentions that have been duped by a lifetime. We're talking a lifetime. I don't think anybody here is born before 1873. Are you? No, I don't think so. So an entire lifetime of hearing this perspective over and over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where we get to that feeling that just, yeah, of course, that's just the way it is, because that's what we hear all the time. So the current discord in the world with the Jewish faith has really brought people out of the woodwork. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked at the number of theologians and pastors and priests and uh, thinkers that have come out and really attacked this whole issue for the first time. And everybody says the same thing when they get down to it. They say, I've wanted to do this before. I never have been able to do it before because I've been afraid. And what they're afraid of is being called anti-Semitism. And they said, I'm not afraid anymore, and I'm just going to do it because we are defining these terms now. And I'm defining these terms, and I don't fit that term. So I'm not going to own it anymore. I'm not going to be afraid of it anymore. I'm just going to talk about it. So this is where we are. And it's, like I said before, it's really pertinent for us because of what's going on in the world, because of the some churches' support of Israel, hands down, and because it seems to be the propelling uh, energy behind our president and our Secretary of Defense, War, who gets up and prays for God's sake, divine violence against these people that are blocking the fulfillment of God's will. So it's just dispensation. Now, whether he's acting or not, supporting a group, it doesn't really matter because it's got the same result, and that is to get us into the situation that we're currently in. So I have a little video for you. I had it last week, and I couldn't show it to you, or 2 weeks ago, but I want to show it to you now, and it's not that long. I think it's about, I think it's 16 minutes long. So I want to show you that video, and it's going to really encapsulate what I talked about last week, and then really encapsulate a lot more detail that I could give you in such a short amount of time. And it's done with those drawings. which I'm really partial to those videos with the drawings. So what I'm going to do for you folks that may be tuning in on video, I am going to post this video up so that you can see it. Maybe copy down the URL or just the name and go search for it. And then I'm going to pause the recording because I can't embed this recording into our recording because that's copyright problems and YouTube will pull this video out. So I'm just gonna put it on there for you for a minute when I get this started. Let's see if I can pull this up over here. Nope, that's the wrong one. That's the right one. Now, if you go online, I want to tell you just, well, I'll warn you that there are so many of these by this topic now. It floors me. Just I'm telling you, within the last 6 months, I am just shocked at about how many of these have come out. It's just brave new world, I guess. All right, now you should be able to see the cartoon beginning. See that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so there's the preacher with his little church. And I probably should shrink that again so you can see. So this is called, Are the Jews God's Chosen People Today? Will all Israel be saved according to the Bible? And it's up here. You can copy that URL if you are able to see that. Just pause your video. And you can go to it, watch it, and then when you're done, come back. And we will be waiting for you here. All right, see you in a few.
Sorry.
So back again. So we got this bit about Herzl and Schofield Bible. So if you guys want to look more into how that happened, the evolution, as Carol Lee was saying, of Zionism, dispensationalism, how that got to where we are today, and get really afraid because it's so tangly pervasive. It's just the more I read, the more discomforted that I get about it. It's just I'm not a conspiracy theorist, all right? But if I was, this would be one of the grand poobahs of conspiracies because it is crazy the way it goes across faiths and nationalities and lines. It's really something. So did you guys pick out anything that you heard that you want to do later on? Anything stand out? I'm going to write down Zionism. We can do that later.
I'd like to know
what I read. And it was about Ben Gurion and the establishment of, and the big controversy. Many, many Jews did not want that.
Mhm.
Many Jews. It was a huge fight. But people felt so guilty about the Holocaust, they had to do something.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that the people that pushed for that, and this will be part of the thing we would go into if we were going to go into it later on, the people that pushed for Israel to have its own state to get the land back way back in 48, right? And then again, were all atheists. All of the principal people that are involved in that are Jewish atheists. No kidding. Every single one of them. It is really wild. So they had no care about the Bible, but they were using the Bible as a crowbar because you believe it. And we'll help you believe it thanks to Herzl, because that was that whole propaganda campaign that started with Herzl that came forward through the Schofield Bible. But the guys that are actually putting it out, they're atheists, right? Bibi's an atheist. Most of the Israeli government right now are atheists, or agnostic at best. They're certainly not practicing Jews. So it's a wild thing that they're there. So the people that got them there don't care about prophecy, but there are others that do. So maybe, Carol Lee, you're talking about the people that are the Jews who are actually practicing their Judaism didn't want to do this because all the reasons that professor had. It's the wrong place, wrong time.
I remember this book, and it was about Jewish history, that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprised me that gringos like me, they didn't care. That was fine. But boy, it was the Jews. It was the Jews who were rabidly against it. And they were fighting being, yeah, and
So
Do you know?
you're saying that uh, people like Bibi Netanyahu is he's actually an atheist
Yeah.
or an agnostic or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
What about people like Moshe Dayan and some of the early ones?
Yeah. There's two or three. In fact, what was the really famous lady, the woman?
Golda Meir.
She was
Golda
a
Meir.
yeah.
atheist. The first prime minister of Israel was an atheist.
Are
Golda
you
Meir was
saying
an
they don't
atheist.
believe in God?
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Wow.
There's a whole category for Jewish atheists, and if we could spend time on it later on, I'll rattle off names that will curl you just like it's amazing the significant, really, really significant people in history, really significant. I mean, world-changing people in history that you know and I know by name from our classes. They were all atheist Jews. It shocked me, really pinned my ears back. So when you came time for Israel to be born as a country to hold, that was all pushed by atheist Jews, not religious Jews. I'm sure religious Jews were in there. You probably know that there is a group of Hasidic Jews or Orthodox Jews, I should say, in New York that have never been to Israel, and they fight it tooth and nail. They're the ones that go out and picket with the Palestinians against Israel and against the Zionist state because they are looking at their Bible and they're saying this is everything's wrong. This is all wrong. We shouldn't be there. So they get a lot of flack. Maybe we should look at those. Should look at them. They're really uh, very admirable in their devotion and their single-hearted look at the Scripture. Look at Scripture. Let's do this real quick. I just wanted to pin this up for you if I can get this up for
I have
sharing.
I have one question
Yeah, go.
while you're doing that, and maybe there's a quick answer. It was talking about after Jesus was born and 40 years before the destruction of the temple, which was about year 30 when Jesus was crucified, and it talked about the sacrifices of the Jewish people not being accepted anymore or not being done anymore. What was that?
Right.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, because since Jesus was the final sacrifice.
Well, I understand it from the Christian standpoint,
Yeah.
but from the Jewish standpoint, why did the Jewish people stop, or did they not? And I just
No
misunderstood.
No temple. You have to have the temple. You have to have the Holy of Holies to do the
Yeah,
sacrifice.
I know, but that was year 30.
70.
No. It said 40 years before.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah, they said
'cause
there was something that happened in year 30
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is this perhaps where at the death of Christ the curtain in the temple was ripped?
Yeah, he said that within this period of time that it was their way of doing things will be destroyed. So that was the 70. That
Wasn't
was 70 AD. Let me see if I can find it for you.
should
So
read
in
my
the-
crucifixion junk more, but I thought that when Christ died, the curtain in the temple
It was torn.
Yes.
is
So
And so would
in
this-
the
they could stare at the Holy of Holies and they wouldn't be dead?
No, they just got really scared and then they got recovered and they got on a needle and thread and they sewed it back together.
But Billy, in the cartoon thing you just showed us, which by the way I liked the little drawings.
Yeah.
It said something about that the Jewish practice of sacrifice, the ending of the Jewish practice of sacrifices coincided with the crucifixion of Jesus at that same time in the same years.
Yeah.
40
40
years
before
before.
Right.
the Roman destruction.
Yes.
So why? What happened in the Jewish practice 40 years before the destruction of the temple that they weren't doing sacrifices?
Well, they were. They did them for 40 more years until the temple was destroyed.
That's not what it said in that thing.
Yeah, he just said it poorly. So what happened was that Jesus came along and he was walking with the disciples and he said, "Look at all these great buildings, all this stuff around me. Not one stone is going to be laid upon another stone. They're all going to be destroyed." Why? Because of the apostate nature of the Jewish people, because they're going to reject me. Right? Then he goes in the temple. He says, "I'm going to tear this temple down and rebuild it." Now we know that he's talking about about his body, but that other comment about everything being torn down. Now, so he gets crucified, dies, right? And all of the people go back to their temple. They literally repair the curtain, right? Get it all back up. They're back in business. So they got their coming, doing their sacrifices. Everything is just fine, peachy. But what Jesus was saying really is that there is a period in time now. What's happening after Jesus dies, resurrected, and ascends? You have the birth of the church. You have the birth of the church and the propagation of the faith about Jesus Christ. So if during this period, this growth period of the church, where the word's getting out, you have 3,000 people baptized here and 2,000 people baptized there, and Peter becomes very eloquent. All of this is the opportunity now for the people who did not turn to Christ when he was there to now turn to him through the word of his disciples, to the apostles. And this is really important because there's a period in time in here where Jesus said, these buildings are going to go, it's not going to be here anymore. If these buildings go away, your entire system of your faith is gone. Your entire system of your faith is based around physical animal sacrifice, blood sacrifice. And if all this is torn down, not one stone left on another, you can't do it. There's nothing left. I mean, it's a very serious thing to build the temple. It's not a little thing like we can just do it. It's a very serious thing. That's why it wasn't redone. Not only that, was really hard to do, but you have to have everything has to be done just correctly. It has to be sanctified. It has to be holy. It's a very, very elaborate process. So he's saying if you don't get on board within this time, if you are caught at the end when the temple's torn down and you are a dedicated Jew who is dedicated to the system that you currently have, when the system gets destroyed, there's a good chance you're just going to get stuck. And that's what you're going to be. So this is like a grace period where you have a chance.
One thing I do find interesting in all this is the 40 years from that time until when the temple was destroyed. And that number 40 comes up with 40 years of wandering in the desert.
Right.
And the 40 days of Jesus going out and being in the wilderness and being tempted.
Yep.
So that 40 thing is a big deal.
Yeah.
The-
We'll like this.
The Talmud says that Christ is in hell.
Oh, it's so gross. He didn't explain all of it. They talk about Mary. They tell who Mary is. She's a whore, of course. And Jesus is this horrible usurper, a necromancer who is burning in hell, boiling in hell in human excrement for all eternity.
I thought the Talmud was the first 4 books of the Old Testament.
No, that's the Torah.
No.
The Torah.
That's
Torah.
Torah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that our Jewish brothers and sisters have this nasty stuff in there, but there's more than that. I mean, that's just one of the things. That's probably the most egregious thing for us, but there's more than just that.
Do they
the
study
funny
the
thing,
Talmud?
what?
Do they study the Talmud the way they do the Torah?
Oh, wow, yeah. So here's part of the problem.
When
So,
did the Talmud-
what?
Is the Talmud intertestamental?
No. So when he said, when he described that thing about Jesus being boiled in excrement, right? And then he said when they are asked about this, their answer is his name's Yeshua. The Yeshua who was hung on Passover Eve is not Jesus. It's a different Yeshua. Now, how many Yeshuas were hung on Passover Eve? Does that make any sense? So the answer to the question today is just a political dodge. I'm not going to say that's Jesus, even though it's Jesus, and they talk about his mother Mary. It must be a different Mary. So, gosh. So we have. Oh, Sharon, what was your question?
I ask you if they study the Talmud
Yes.
the way.
Okay. So
Am I saying the right thing?
no, you're saying the right thing. So he also said in a section that this Judaism is not the Jewish faith of the Bible, the Israeli faith of the Bible. It's different. It's not the same thing. But one big thing is because there's no sacrifices. All of the sacrifices, and that means all of the process of sacrifices, all of the preparation, the prayers of preparation, the prayers of supplication, all of these things the giving up, the giving over are gone. They're gone.
Yeah, you sacrifice for your child to
Mhm.
make your child a Jew. If you aren't
Right.
sacrificing, then you weren't doing the thing.
Well, and it's a daily grind. I have to sacrifice a lot to make my sacrifice. I mean, I have to take a huge chunk of what I own, and if I'm very poor, if I'm just a small herdsman, I'm going to have to spend a lot of money when I get to Jerusalem buying a perfect calf to go get sacrificed. So there's a lot of stuff in there for it. So that this whole process, the whole religion's gone. It's gone. What was replaced with was rabbinic Judaism. That's what came up. Rabbinic Judaism published or created the Talmud and the Mishnah and two more. I can't remember the names. And these books are rabbinical commentaries on the Bible, on the Old Testament. So the Talmud is a rabbinical commentary on Jewish faith and history. Now, here's the crazy thing. In the faith of Israel, the most important thing was and always would be the scripture, the true scriptures, what we call the Old Testament, as they were and as they developed. And in the New Testament period for Jesus, it was the same thing up until the time of the rabbinic Judaism took over, which is after 70 AD. These four books, the Talmud and the Mishnah and the other two, they have said, so it's in their writing, that these four books are equal to the Old Testament. They have the same authority, the same correctness, the same knowledge from God, because God spoke through the rabbis to interpret the scripture. So that book, the Talmud, that says that Jesus is burning in a boiling pot of excrement in hell, they're saying that what that's saying right there, versed by a rabbi in the rabbinical period, is equal to everything in the Old Testament. So they don't have it. In fact, they study the Mishnah, the Talmud, and the other two a lot more than the Old Testament, because those four books are done by the famous rabbis, like, oh gosh, the two that were alive when Jesus was alive. They get big name rabbis that were the editors of these books, and so they have different groups of Jews that like one more than the other, and they study what they say, because what they're saying is the interpretation of how to read the Bible. So I can read the Bible, but
what seems interesting is the Inferno, the Dante's Inferno,
mhm,
doesn't have a lot of biblical stuff in it.
right.
But Jesus burning in a pot of excrement sounds a whole lot like Dante's Inferno,
Yeah. So I
except it
guess
wasn't Jesus.
sick minds think alike, right? Or at least so so yes, they read that the sad thing is that the books, the Talmud as one of them, is equal to the Old Testament and read much more. So the religion that they have today is nothing like the religion of Jesus as a Jew in the first century. That religion's gone. Doesn't exist. The religion they have today is completely different. And that's an eye opener. We all think it's the same thing. That's all this, it's a continuity that goes straight at. No, not at all. Not at all. This whole system of the Talmud, the Mishnah, and the others, that whole rabbinic process did not exist at all. Not at all
That's
during the time of Jesus.
basically a new religion then.
Yes, completely new religion. It would be unrecognizable. If you took a Jew from today and you moved them back into the first century, they would be unrecognizable as a Jew, just by their faith, by what they're doing, and what they would believe. There was a period in time when Judaism was Trinitarian. They actually did believe that God had two aspects, and that was squashed later on. So we're Trinitarian. And at the time of Jesus, the one theology of a monotheistic God that was not two but one had won out. And so you can see not only was Caiaphas then ripping his robe because Jesus was saying that he was God and God was too, but also because that was, according to him and the history, a heresy that had been defeated.
Well, the
So it
Lord
was
our
even,
God is one,
yes,
the Mishnah.
the Mishnah. So yeah, it's all these things. I mean, like I say, it gets more and more and more when you start getting into it. All of these little nooks and crannies start popping up, not as nooks and crannies, but really huge things. I mean, that's a huge thing. Uh, to think about that the faith that they have now is not the faith of the biblical faith at all.
So the Talmud and the Mishnah and what's the other one?
I can't remember the name of it. I was always blank on it.
Uh, were those all written relatively recently?
No, no, they've been around for. I can't remember when the last one was done. It wasn't. I can't remember.
Look
There
up
was so
one
many
of the
different.
major books of Judaism and see
Yeah.
what you get.
So let me see. We got no time. Gee. So next time I'm going to give you what I'm going to look at is I said this to you before and I got it all right here. I got all the Bible verses all out and highlighted and everything. We're going to take a look at the major prophecies in the Old Testament, which we are told today are driving the fulfillment of salvation for the Jewish people and the world.
So it
So
says
it says in Genesis, it says in Deuteronomy, it says in other places where God said to Abraham, I'm going to do this for you. And one of those things is I'm going to give you the land, right? This is a big one today. God said, I'm going to give you this land. And when you get this land, that means that it's all over. I've made it for you. And when you get the land, along with that promise is that all around you is going to be peace. Nobody's going to be attacking you. That's why when that theologian said what he said, he said, oh, we're not in the right place because this isn't happening. So you got two prophecies right there, which is really form one. One, I'm going to give you all the land. Two, when you get all the land and you get it appropriately, you will have peace. No worries. Complete peace, right? So what Israel is looking at right now, that's why they want to attack Lebanon, really. I said that before. Lebanon is part of that land group. They have to take it. They have to get it back because it's part of the land group. They want to get back all of the land, that border that they say is Israel, which by the way is not. And when they get it back, then it's going to be like a switch is being flipped. Pting! And suddenly it's going to be peace, and God's going to take over and put that divine bubble around Israel, and everything's going to be wonderful. Well, we're going to take a look at that prophecy because that's a hinge pin for us today, right? So we're going to read that and figure out what's going on with it, and I think you're going to be shocked when you hear it.
excuse me, I just Googled the major books of Judaism. It says that the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, while traditional belief dates these books to the 15th and 13th century, I guess BCE, which is I guess the same as BC. Historians estimate the final compilation and canonization took place between the 6th and 4th centuries BC.
That's the Torah.
That's the
That's the
Torah.
Torah.
And then
Yeah.
you've got the Talmud, which I guess part of it is the Mishnah, which was that was compiled and edited by Rabbi Judah, the Prince, around 200, I guess CE and AD. And then the Gemara, which is the rabbinic discussions and commentaries on the Mishnah,
Guevara, that was it.
and that was 400 AD.
Yeah.
And then the Babylonian Talmud,
Yes.
was completed around 500 AD.
Yes. The Babylonian Talmud is being quoted today. I saw a news report today where they were being asked what they believed when God is doing for them, and the quote that the guy gave, they identified came from the Babylonian Talmud, not from the Old Testament.
And later commentaries and codes, it says that Rashi's commentaries were written during the 11th century. And then the Mishnah Torah was about 1170 to 1180 AD. And the
Shulchan Aruch.
Shulchan Aruch is about 1560.
Okay.
But yeah, this is completely different than what I've always
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard these.
Every Sabbath in the, not the temple, the Jewish church.
The synagogue.
They're reading from
Synagogue.
synagogue. They're reading from the Torah, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They may
read
talk
from the-
about these things, but they're reading the Torah.
They read the Torah, and then then to explain it, they're going to grab one of the other books.
The others.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember going to the Jewish Food Festival with Bob Miller one time,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a friend who was a rabbi, and he took us into the I guess into the whatever the sanctuary is in a synagogue, and showed us the Torah that they
The
had
Torah
there.
that they had, and you couldn't
Right.
touch it.
Right.
And it had a little pointy guy, a
Yes.
stick with a hand, and that's
Yes.
how they keep track of where they are. You know, your finger oil would degrade the sheepskin.
Right. Right.
And these things are copied over and over again, and if you make a mistake, you got to start all over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
'cause
toss
they're
the
on-
whole thing.
They're on parchment. You know, they're on a scroll.
Yeah.
You roll them out, and roll them in.
Yeah, and when a synagogue gets one, I mean, it's a huge outlay of money, a huge project.
Yep.
I mean, it's the deal.
Yep. That's when you see them carry them around. They've got two sticks.
Yeah.
And it looks like, you know, it looks like two rolls of paper towels
Right.
that are covered over, so you can see they're round, and you're holding little sticks for them. And it's because that's where you roll it from this side to that side. Remember, it said when Jesus went to Nazareth, he unrolled it. He read from the scripture. He unrolled the scripture because that's what he was doing. Yeah. So that's a lot.
They didn't
Go ahead.
mention any of these other books, these Mishnah, Gemara.
Well, at his time, they weren't there. What they
Mm-mm.
had was the writings, you know, Psalms, Proverbs, that stuff. But they didn't have any of this other stuff.
No, that's all new.
Okay, you know, when Ezra and Nehemiah, they come
Mhm.
back from Babylon.
Mhm.
I thought that was the start of the rabbinical something or the t'other. But that was just the start of Judaism. No.
Yeah, it's just
Yes. What did
Well,
Ezra
every
and
time-
Nehemiah do?
every time they
Yeah.
came back, it was a reboot.
Nehemiah built the wall and Ezra was the law.
Mhm.
Right. And actually, you know, it's two sides, two guys, the same events.
Yeah.
But until the temple was destroyed, they had that same religion because they followed the Old Testament, the laws of Moses and the sacrifices. And the reason it fell apart was because the building wasn't there to do the sacrifices. They could not continue the practices that were required
Right.
in the law.
Yeah. I know they don't have any high priest. They don't have any royal priesthood. The priesthood's gone. Levites are gone. The high priest is gone. So no temple,
Those
no
people
priest, no
killed.
sacrifices. Nothing.
And so today,
Killed.
people who are Jewish, they don't do those sacrifices. And, you know, they haven't for hundreds of years because there was no place to go there was no Jewish temple to go and continue that. And there
That's
were
right.
no priests that were collected in that place to do that.
Yeah, because
So
it's
really
interesting.
all they could do is
Or
write
Solomon
about what it
makes the
was.
temple.
All they could do is write about what it was and discuss what it was because they weren't able to follow the practices.
So
That's right.
Judaism is tied to a location.
The temple, they were required to go there. They
Yeah.
had to have the practices themselves in their own home every day, but it was very tied to going to that central location.
Right. The big problem with the 10 tribes was those kings were afraid their political whatever would die if all their people were going to sacrifices in Jerusalem.
Yes.
Um,
So they created their own gods in their own temples.
yeah. Which is, I mean, it's weird that David, the temple was in Samaria before David danced before the Lord and brought everything down to Jerusalem. The place to worship was, I can't remember the name of the town. Sam was from there. Anyway,
Where the ark was, all the people around it were blessed.
Right.
Yeah.
They were blessed immensely.
Yeah, and it's an S word.
So this is, see if you see this. Do you see this?
Yes.
Year of
Okay.
living biblically.
Yeah.
Yes, A.J. Jacobs. So he does this thing. He picks something and he does it for a year. He's Jewish. So he decided he was going to live for a year as a Jew under the original faith of the temple. And I've read it. That one's an abridged one. I've read the whole thing. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's
But
really fun.
yeah, he
Picking his
basically,
clothes to find out if they were kosher clothing.
yep.
The answer was no.
It's impossible. You can't, it's just impossible. I mean, he said it was horrible. He was so glad it was over. Can't do it. So that's the faith. That would be it.
Is that the same guy that wrote A Year of Living Constitutionally?
Yes. That's what he does. Every once in a while, he comes out with a year of something.
Yeah, I think I read that years ago.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's a good one. So like I say, if we think that the Jews are following the same religion, that you just need to read that book because you can see really graphically exactly what that would mean. It's not what we have today. Not at all. Not by a far shot.
I don't see how it would be possible for anybody to do it.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Even
No,
back
because
then.
it's done.
Yeah.
And then, that's one of the best arguments for it, for us, to understand it. God put in place this system of doing things, which they then corrupted a lot. But at its base, it's the system of doing things that were necessary from a repetitious perspective. God wanted them to have a repetition. The same thing could count on the same thing, to count on the same thing. Part of that is to say that you can count on God, the same God, count on the same God, count on the same God. Same thing comes around because God comes around. It's always the same. So we built that into you, but then with the new faith that comes along, with Jesus comes along, he said, okay, you've done that. You got that down. And that has led you to the place where you can see me and understand who I am, because that repetition has kept your face turned to God, where you can recognize who God is. So now all that doesn't matter anymore. That was all prep. All that was done for a good reason, but it was all prep. It's all done. You don't need to prep it anymore. So it's never coming back. Now, right now, I don't know if you've been listening to hearing the news right now, it's amazing to me how bold it's getting, both in our country and in Israel. But they've already proclaimed they're going to rebuild the third temple, or build the third temple. Right now. I mean, they haven't not started, but they're proclaiming it.
Who proclaimed this?
In Israel.
Oh.
They've come out and said this is our time. We're going to rebuild the third temple, or build the third temple.
God will let them.
Well, can you imagine? Well, see what they're doing. Think about it. They haven't been able to do it till now because it would mean kicking out all the Muslims, right? Because it's their sacred place too. That's what the whole deal is. The Temple Mount is Muslim, but they haven't been able to do it because they've had Iran and Lebanon, and then a few other players there to stop them. But they're working really hard to eliminate all those little players so that when it's time, they can just go ahead and do it, and no one's going to be there to stop them. And that's why they're saying, now is our time.
Rebuilding the temple is kind of a stupid thing to do because that's one of the requirements for the end times, right?
For them, it's the fulfillment. So that's when they're going to get the big divine bubble and live in peace forever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, not so much for the rest of us.
Yeah, not so good.
And is that when their Messiah will come? Their Messiah?
Yes. Yeah, yep.
When we were touring Greece, I looked up, and there are all those cities that Paul went to.
Mm-hmm.
None of them exist.
Right.
There was a big earthquake, And it was felt too difficult to clean up right there. So they made the city 1, 2, 3, 5 miles away
Hmm.
from, that city. And so that's why, I mean, it's a little facetious, but not. God has really got earthquake down.
Move
Um,
it, move it all, move it all. All right, guys, this has been great. This is again my favorite night of the week. So glad to be back with you and be able to do this again. And looking forward to next week. We're going to get this the prophecies things down and take maybe just a little passing glance at Herzl a little bit more. Jay,
Can you email the link? The
to
link?
that video?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could you email it to
I
Creator
can.
Colin?
What?
For the video we just saw, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I will do that. Does anybody want it right now? I'll put it in the chat.
Let's share and discuss respectfully.
Yeah,
Thank
let's do that. Sorry. If you want it right
If
now,
you walk
there
into
you go again. I'll put it in the chat right now if you want to copy it. But
Thank
I
you.
will also send it over. Chat.
Yeah, I've been walking around going, listen to this stuff, going, read the Bible. What are you doing? Read the Bible. You can't, I don't know where you came from, but read the Bible.
None of these
Yeah.
guys have ever done that.
What?
Yeah.
None of these people have ever done that.
Doesn't sound like it, does it? Sue, did you look at the chat? Is it there?
It is.
Okay. So if you want to jump on the chat real quick, you can save that. If not, I'll get it over to the church and get it to you that way. Sound good? I'll start making a little list because there's so many. I've seen so many, and there's so many I'd like to look at that goes on and on and on.
That one was very well done.
Yes. Yep.
Here's the Bible. Here's the Bible. Here's the Bible.
Very glad. We'll look at a little, maybe next week we'll look a little deeper into that little block of history that I'm telling you about that'll be so shocking to you because it's a big part of it. Herzl and Schofield and the whole thing.
Mhm.
And
All right,
this
guys, God
ties
bless
back-
you.
All
What?
this ties back to Paul talking about the inheritance of the
All
kingdom.
over Jews aren't Jews. All of Israel isn't Israel.
Yeah.
Yep.
You, even though you're Greek, are actually Israel.
Yeah. When we get done, we're going to find out that this isn't as scandalous as it's been made out to be. The only reason why it's been made out to be scandalous is so nobody looked into it. And it worked, didn't it? All this time, nobody would dare look into this. You wouldn't even research it because someone would see you researching and say, "Oh, he's anti-Semitic," and then you're done. You can't, get kicked out of your professorship or whatever it is. So no one's even touched this, and it's brilliant. I mean, that's why I say I'm not a conspiracy person, but man, what this has worked. This has got the whole world duped, and specifically aimed at America, but it's the whole world.
But I also think that, revelation comes over time. And I think people just didn't
Well,
see.
there's a whole rabbit hole of Revelation also.
Well, I
Yeah.
know.
So I
Well,
think people just didn't see it.
Oh no, yeah, but it's like, okay, I think I said it to you when right after the war started, I don't call it, shouldn't be called a war, but the whatever that thing was, the massacre started. They had I'll find her for you next week. She's a very famous woman that's respected and known. She went to the UN and made a talk to the UN. It was a half an hour, 40-minute talk where she started and ended by saying anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are the same thing. There is no difference in the two. To say I'm an anti-Zionist is just cover for I'm an anti-Semite. So we might as well just say what it is. If you say you're anti-Zionist, then you're just you're anti-Semitic. That's just it. So she really came on to conflate two things which are completely different into one because that's the next step. See, if you can't talk about being be labeled anti-Semite, but you can say anti-Zionism. Well, if I can get that attached to this one, then I've completely shut you down. You can't talk about anything. I'm telling
Many,
you.
many people don't know what Zionism is.
Well, are the
So-
what, actually what is a Semite? How many how
That's
wide
a
of a
bit.
net is that cast?
We're gonna have to do this next week, though. That is a misappropriated term as well, right? Semite is the people of Shem, the son of Noah. All the Semites. So all the Arabs, the Palestinians, they're all Semites. So it means you're an anti-Semite, means you're anti all those people. So the word Semite was appropriated by Herzl, and then made to
So Netanyahu is being an anti-Semite when he bombs Gaza.
yeah. Technically, absolutely. But like I said, they have misappropriated that word. So you think it. Now, here's the thing. Oh, I'm going to stop. So you have the Jewish people saying that they've misappropriated this word, and you can't say things, right? But then they make up their own words about other people. They make up words about call other nations and other people different names too, other names that they can do it. You can't do it.
Okay, write it down. We'll talk about it next week.
Can't wait. All right, guys. Have a blessed night. I pray you all have great sleep, better than mine last night. I hope for everyone.
Thank you.
Talk to you a little bit. God bless you.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.